2019 Genesis G70. The Genesis G70 is hugely important for its maker. A sports sedan shouldering outsized expectations that it can stake a place for the nascent Korean luxury brand as a contender against the established players. But even Genesis itself admits that the world doesn't need more luxury cars. The world is fine without Genesis, brand chief Manfred Fitzgerald told us, and therefore the company says it needs to be daring and to make its products special and desirable. While the larger G80 and G90 already on sale are good, they don't break any new ground. And their genealogies include Hyundai badged antecedents. The G70 line starts under Genesis, and that fact, along with its broader target audience, codifies its significance. Its ambitions for Genesis drove parent company Hyundai to poach leading figures from across the industry for its executive roster, including Fitzgerald, who previously served as the director of the Lamborghini brand, former Bentley and Lamborghini design chief Luke Donkerwolke, ex-GM and 5th-gen Chevrolet Camaro designer Sang-Hyuk Lee, and Chas Eager, and former BMW M head Albert Biermann. Their mission: make cars that are achingly beautiful and drive even better, a goalpost often raised by automakers but rarely cleared. As you'd expect, Genesis aims directly at the German triumvirate of Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz, and the G70 targets those companies' A4, 3 Series, and C-Class. Its 184.4-inch overall length and 111.6-inch wheelbase put it right in the wheelhouse. The current F33 series was the dynamic bogey. We're not sure we'd have made the same selection, while the A4 and the C set the bars for refinement and luxury. We recently flew to Seoul to pour over the G70 and drive pre-production models at Hyundai's Namyang Proving Ground, the genesis of Genesis style. These photos show the Korea-spec G70 in production form. In person, the G70 looks cleanly designed with few fussy details. We'd hardly call the car audacious, apart from that whole Korean rear-drive sports sedan aiming to punch Germany in the mouth thing. But this is merely the first vehicle in a line that increasingly will push this stylistic envelope. For example, we're told the GV80 SUV coming in 2019 will be even more daring than the fairly bold concept shown earlier this year. That concept's headlights point to the direction the brand is taking, with the parallel tube-like running lamps of the G70 serving as an iterative step leading to the thin LED spec strips of the GV80. Donkerwolke says all Genesis lamps eventually will be as thin and as bright as possible, and he's keen to abandon traditional lighting clusters, which he derides as aquariums filled with shit. Eventually, things will get more adventurous, as Genesis vehicles develop radical light signatures that streak from the headlights, across the fenders, and toward the leading edges of the doors. The relative lack of overt boldness in the G70 in no way makes it unattractive. It's a flowing, athletic-looking thing, more in the mold of Alfa Romeo's Giulia or Infinity's Q50 than the restrained BMW 3 Series or Audi A4, its three-quarter views defined by complex contours. It also isn't really the work of Donkerwolke, Lee, and the Genesis design team as constituted today. Those two came on board only about 18 months ago, well after the G70's final design had been frozen, and they were able only to tweak the fascia and push the roofline a little lower, adjustments that Fitzgerald says were a big help. Biermann, having joined the company earlier, likely had more effect on the dynamic tuning. The next Genesis product, and the first to be more fully molded by this group, will be the next-gen G80, which is due in 2019. Like the lights, the G70's grille is an intermediate step toward a brasher look. In the previews we saw, the future grille both echoed the central crest of the Genesis logo and resembled the face shield of a knight's helm. The shape is similar to that used by Cadillac and Mazda, but Lee told us the grille eventually will extend lower and be larger overall than those brands. A slat in the lower intake actually traces the bottom of the future grille's shape. The genesis of sportiness. The US market G70 will offer a pair of engines, A turbocharged 2.0-liter inline-4 rated for 252 horsepower and 260 pounds-feet of torque, and a twin-turbocharged 3.3-liter V6 good for a stout 365 horsepower and 376 pounds-feet. Outputs are approximate. Exact U.S. market specs won't be finalized until early next year. Ahead of a March or April on-sale date as a 2019 model, both will be available with rear or all-wheel drive, and all models also get a limited-slip rear differential as standard. The same Hyundai-designed 8-speed automatic from the G80 is standard across the board, albeit with specific programming, although the US may also get a special treat in the first year only 2.0T with a manual transmission. If that happens, credit Genesis as US arm, which we are told requested the combo. When paired with a 3.3T and put into sport mode, the all-wheel drive system is said to be more reluctant to shift torque from the rear in the interest of driving fun. Says Bierman of this behavior: "It probably wouldn't be in the car without me. Because 1, 2, or 3 aren't enough anymore." The G70 will have 5 chassis modes: Smart, Auto, Normal, Custom, Eco, and Sport. These affect steering weight and response, throttle calibration, engine out, and automatic shift points on all cars, all-wheel drive behavior on those models, and damper firmness on 3.3 teraseconds, which have an adjustable suspension. These dampers might be optional on the 2.0T. All G70s feature launch control and brake-based torque vectoring, where an inside wheel is braked to encourage rotation. The AWD system, which has roughly 130 pounds regardless of engine, sends 100% of available torque to the rear by default, shifting grunt forward as needed. We don't have curb weights yet, but approximate front-rear weight distributions are claimed to be 52/48% for the rear drive 2.0T, 53/47 for the 2.0T AWD, and 55/45 for the 3.3T. The G70 rides on a shorter version of the same architecture employed by the Kia Stinger. In comparison with that car, the Genesis is 5.8 inches shorter overall, 0.8 inch narrower, and the same height, while riding on a wheelbase paired by 2.8 inches. We drove the Korea Spec 2.0T with both rear and all-wheel drive, which differed from what we'll see here mainly in steering tuning, which wasn't yet finalized, as well as ride compliance and tire fitment. Both of these wore 225/45 R18 Bridgestone REO50s, but will come on Michelin MXM4 all-season tires in the United States in the interest of highway comfort, as the Michelins better absorb harsh impacts and generate less noise. The 4-cylinder groans a bit and lacks character. And, although the transmission changed gears smoothly and was well programmed in this application, it needed final polish to resolve some occasionally hesitant shifts. Rapid directional changes prompted quickly gathered body roll, but nothing in the way of lolling our back and forth bobbing. The 2.0 teraseconds exhibited more brake dive and acceleration squat than we'd prefer. A firmer suspension calibration expected for the US should fix those. Regarding the work-in-progress electrically assisted steering, the rear driver's rack was numb and efforts excessively light. Surprisingly, the all-wheel drive car had more feel and better weight with more predictable build-up. American G70s, Bierman promises, will have more steering heft and more on-center feel. The V6 car we drove had rear-wheel drive and was a US-focused Dynamic Edition wearing 225/40th ZR19 front and 255/35 ZR19 rear Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. It was here that the G70 really came alive. As it does in the G80 and the G90, this engine sounds pleasingly aggressive, and effortlessly delivers its power in a predictable wave. It doesn't feel overworked in the slightest here, the smaller G70 leaping forward enthusiastically whenever you dip deep into the accelerator. One issue: the car would briefly continue to surge forward when releasing the throttle while in sport mode, a calibration issue that we expect will be ironed out before G70s reach customers. The 3.3T steering was excellent with the highest fidelity, quick but not overly eager turn-in responses, and the best weight characteristics. We were able to test all versions for a few laps of a short, tight handling course and got comfortable quickly enough to put the car into easily controllable four-wheel slides. The Dynamic Edition was especially eager to play, a constant stream of feedback coming from the Michelins through the driver's seat and steering wheel. The standard brakes have two-piston front calipers and single-piston rears. Optional Brembos upgrade the fronts to 4 pistons and the rears to 2. These are standard on 3.3T models. Pedal feel on the 3.3T with the Brembos was outstanding, being much firmer underfoot and easier to finely modulate. The standard brakes felt like papier-mâché in comparison. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for our channel.